Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of October 25th, 2020. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, a rare and special time. Now, I have often thought of Halloween as an incredibly special day, sacred even, especially when we look at ancient traditions. We see this continuation and this affirmation of this time of year as being a time of harvest. Very often this is thought of as the last harvest, a burst of fertility, a burst of nourishment that will carry us forward for the months ahead, the cold months ahead. And this is something that we see in the spiritual traditions, in particular of the Northern Hemisphere. But to have a full moon on this day is special. To have a blue moon, which is a second full moon in 1 month on Halloween Day, is very special. And then to have a full moon conjunct Uranus, a modern planet, well, that makes this moment, all of these added up, make this moment a once in a lifetime event for just about everybody out there. And so here we are with this very powerful, very surprising, if not shocking, full moon energy that is going to end the week for us. You add to this the fact that Mercury is retrograde, and especially significant is the way in which planets start moving into the sign of Libra. And so Libra is the energy of partnership. It is going to be right around Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on where you are on the planet, that almost simultaneously, both a retrograde Mercury and Venus move into the sign of Libra. That full moon happening at the end of the week is in the sign of Taurus, an energy that has to do with enjoying the incarnation, enjoying our physical experience as we move through life, an awakening of the senses, the five senses in particular. And then the energy of Libra is about relationships and partnerships and connecting with others. Well, you put this together and it does suggest that a lot of us out there, perhaps by surprise, perhaps by shock, are going to connect with or reconnect with loves from the past and find ourselves interacting with people that perhaps we knew long before. Perhaps it is that we enjoyed the earthly incarnation with these people long before as well. But it is going to be this full moon in particular that is also going to illuminate our own feelings around sensuality, around embodiment, around what it means to be a human being at this time, whether that is at this time in your life, at this time in a historical perspective. And what does it mean to be embodied, but also to be free? Uranus is an energy of thought, of mind, of ideas. It is pure thought. It is an energy that is purely on the mental plane. And then we have that in the sign of Taurus, this important rare energy, this extended transit that we are experiencing, that we are in the middle of now. And to have a full moon brings that much more emotion to this time, emotion to our desire for freedom, for clarity, for an understanding on a level of mind, for mutual respect, for advancement, for equality. All of these are attributes of and the providence of Uranus. You add the full moon and you bring emotion into the mix. Uranus also has a measure of things changing very quickly as part of its key characteristic. And Uranus having to do with the future and leaping into the future, well, I do think a lot of us are going to have that desire to leap into the future in some way, independently certainly, financially, because Taurus is an energy that we associate with the economy and finances, the economy for the collective, but personally as well, in terms of what we value, what it is that we do to create prosperity for ourselves, how we understand prosperity in unique terms. Well, what that means for us and how it is that we're going to align with a prosperity that aligns with something truly authentic within. I think that is going to be part of the urge, the spiritual urge, the emotional urge that a lot of people are going to be feeling, especially around that full moon. But then, of course, as I mentioned, Libra energy kicking in, and all of that brings attention to how it is our interactions become a part of these very realizations. And so I think the interaction part of this is especially important. But I also think as much as that full moon is all about surprises and things coming out of nowhere, events, experiences, feelings, people, places, things, feeling like they truly take us by surprise, that is the key characteristic of Uranus. It is a planet of surprise, a planet of shock. There are other things happening that do suggest it isn't going to be necessarily something that feels like it comes out of nowhere. And the reason I say that is because if we look at what is happening earlier in the week, it is going to be, as we begin the week on Sunday, that the sun will meet a retrograde Mercury in the sky in the sign of Scorpio. Now, the sign of Scorpio has to do with truth and digging in deeper and seeing beyond the superficial, getting to the core of a matter. A retrograde Mercury tends to be more reflective, encourages us to go to an even deeper place to understand not only what is underneath the surface, but why it might be there. And Mercury is considered to be the lower vibration of Uranus. So where Mercury is thought processes, it is Uranus that becomes pure thought. It becomes ideas and concepts. And so we have here how we are thinking, which is Mercury, in the sign of Scorpio, which is we are thinking deeply, and retrograde. We are thinking deeply about the past, about what was, about our own past as well. We are looking at the layers underneath. We are digging for truth. But in many ways, I also feel like this connection of the sun and Mercury is going to perhaps intuitively allow us to glimpse what is coming up in terms of what could be changing and what could be surprising, especially towards the end of the week. The energy of Scorpio is intuition and it is pure emotion. The moon is a very emotional symbol as well, but it's in an earth sign, that full moon. And that energy of that full moon, it is a lot more grounded. It asks us to take what at the beginning of the week could be a sense of what's going on underneath and have it count for something in a more practical way. And quickly at that, once we get to that full moon. Under the light of the full moon, the sun will stand across the sky from Uranus with precision as well. That full moon is very close in the sky to Uranus, and all of this adds up to heightened Uranian energy. But also the sun, as I just said, is in the sign of Scorpio, having to do with what the truth is and what that truth may be in our own lives as part of our own individual journeys. Well, in at least one area of life, very quickly, we will uncover what is really going on. And once you know, once the truth is revealed, you can't go back. You can't go back to the place where you didn't know. And in many ways, I do see the energy that is playing out, especially at the end of the week. It's almost like a loss of innocence of sorts, but that can actually be a really good thing, because it is ultimately by no longer wanting to see just clouds and sunshine and roses, but rather to see what is underneath the surface, to see the nitty-gritty and to still find beauty there, that we are then able to find a higher type of beauty. We're able to transcend, we're able to evolve, we're able to grow, and we're able to take ownership for where it is that we can be part of creating love and wisdom and beauty in the world. It ultimately, and all of those attributes ultimately, rest on truth. Truth is a necessary condition to experience love, to experience wisdom, to experience hope, to experience beauty. And that genuine sense of hope and wisdom and love and beauty, they cannot be built on kidding ourselves or lying to ourselves, but rather it is by looking at the depth and complexity of what actually is that it makes love and wisdom that much stronger. Well, I do think that these lessons are playing out for all of us in at least one area of life, for each and every one of us out there. I did speak about this full moon at some length for each of the signs. And so you may want to have a look at your monthly horoscope again. But understand that this is also a collective experience. As much as we may be going through life and having surprise-a-minute moments in one area, know that all of us are feeling this sense that things could change. They can change very quickly, regardless of how we might feel about it. With the sun opposite Uranus with precision, under the light of the full moon, it does suggest that we may have mixed feelings about what is changing in our lives. We may take a moment or need a few moments to find balance within what is shifting for us now. There may be a measure of compromise that is needed that may not feel comfortable. Remember, Libra is about considering other perspectives, other people. It's diplomacy. It's other countries as well, right? Taking in all these different factors and viewpoints. But the energy of Uranus is very independent. It is highly independent. It is very much about the individual and the self. The discovery of Uranus brought with it a whole new paradigm. It brought with it a new understanding of science. The definition of science itself changed, but it also shifted in much of the world, not the entire world, but when we look at it from a Western perspective. In the Western world, the individual is the nucleus of society. In the Eastern world and in the Eastern cultures, the family or the community is the nucleus of society. I feel like I know a little bit about this as I've had like sort of half of me in one world and the other world throughout my life. But having said that, it is the discovery of Uranus that brings with it this heightened focus on the individual. Now, what does that mean when we also have to take other individuals into consideration? How is it that we get along with others when it is the individual that is the center of the universe, the center of the world? We can look at it astrologically as well. Western systems of astrology tend to place greater focus on the sun, and the sun as a symbol of the individual life path, the self, the core of the self, and much else that the sun represents in astrology. And then you look at systems of astrology that have a more Eastern root, and they tend to emphasize the moon more. They place greater importance on the moon in the astrological chart. The moon is a symbol of family. It is a symbol of home, of the familiar. And home, of course, can be defined in all kinds of ways. Yes, our familial connections, but home can also be a neighborhood. It can be our communities and our community identity. And so we look at the energy of this full moon in Taurus, an earth sign grounding us, conjunct Uranus. That's all about the future and mind and the individual. And we can see here there's a contrast. The energy of the sun in Scorpio. Scorpio energy has to do with profound and deep bonds with other people. It is about being known deeply by another and having you know them. It is about being changed and transformed as a result of being truly honest and emotionally vulnerable and bare to another person. Well, we have that energy opposite Uranus. And Uranus, individual, it is self, it is thought. How do we now embody that sense of self and individuality emerging? And how is it that in being more vulnerable, not only can we share more deeply with others, but we are more free to be our individual selves? Now, going back to the energy in Libra, that is important for a few reasons. Mercury in particular retrograding back late Tuesday or on Wednesday into the sign of Libra this week, where Mercury is exactly where it was that he was back in the last days of September. In fact, it was right around September 22nd that Mercury went into shadow. It was just a few days later that Mercury entered the sign of Scorpio. So you can see how where Mercury is right now, considering that this is where Mercury was back then, the events that transpire now are going to allow us and encourage us to have another look at events that took place in late September. So all of us, in one way or another, are being granted a chance to look at our alliances, our connections with others, how it is that we relate, whether it is professionally or personally, how it is that we understand ourselves in relation to others. And on a more mundane level, this energy of Mercury is another affirmation that partners of the past can reappear, especially at this time. And where it was perhaps that the ball got rolling, or perhaps there were key conversations, communications, or maybe even people of interest who showed up in the last week of September, this is where they come back around for further insights, further clarity, or perhaps even feeling as if you're able to get another chance to find that sense of commonality. With Venus moving into this part of the sky as well, it does suggest that there are blessings in this pursuit. Venus, of course, is also goddess of love, and she's coming to her home sign of Libra. So she's especially comfortable here. And Venus in Libra is what I come to understand as celestial Aphrodite. It was in the symposium by Plato where Socrates makes this distinction between earthly Aphrodite and celestial Aphrodite. Earthly Aphrodite is about the pleasures of the incarnation, right? All things Taurian. And celestial Aphrodite, according to Socrates, is about the beauty of thought and forms and architecture and higher forms of beauty that we find there. And so it's me who creates these and sort of came up with, or rather correlated, an astrological sky with some of these ideas of Plato, of Socrates. I explore this more in my book, The Body and the Cosmos, so you might want to have a look at that. But outside of that, the fact that Aphrodite, Venusian energy, is being highlighted in all these different ways. Taurus also has Venus as its rulership highlighted at the end of the week. Venus coming to its other home sign, strong now in the sky, in the sign of Libra. Well, it does suggest that all of us are considering what love and the spectrum of love, the spectrum of Aphrodite energy, from the earthly to the celestial to the cerebral, with Uranus there with that full moon. What is that going to mean for us in our life? What does it mean to bring love to ourselves, to others? I think this is going to be an important consideration for all of us out there. And I do think that there's also going to be an appreciation of a distinction of what is love, what isn't love. What are we telling ourselves is love, but perhaps really isn't? And where is it that we can bring a healthier sense of love for self and for others in all of our interactions as we move through the world? What I love about this week for us, well, it's got to be that very powerful full moon at the end of the week. I do think that is the star of the show now. It is a blue moon. It is a full moon on Halloween. It is a full moon that is a blue moon that is conjunct Uranus in the sky. This makes this time so very special for all of us out there. Now, we do know that 2020 is a very special year, but it isn't just isolated to one big event. We've had one after the other, and we're nowhere near done. 2020 is nowhere near done. This is just one of many big, rare celestial events that has been taking place. But the thing is, with the moon, and in particular the full moon, we feel that energy most. Because this is emotion, it is emotion coming to the surface in a way that is undeniable. With Uranus there, all of this feeling is coming forward very quickly, but ultimately it represents truth and what is true for us. But within that truth, we might also find genuine liberation, a true sense of freedom to be ourselves, but fully embodied at the same time, to find a deeper sense of self-love and self-acceptance that ultimately allows us to be more fully ourselves in the world. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, thumbs up. It means so much. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to nadiyashah.com. Sign up to be one of my superstars. Superstars get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Synchronicity University speaker series is right around the corner. I have assembled some of the most brilliant astrologers alive today, and you get to choose your own tuition rate for just a few more days. And with that, you get to hear these speakers at some of the lowest rates that you are going to see, to hear this caliber of speakers at that. And I'm truly proud of this group, and I'm proud that I'm able to offer these classes to you to make them so accessible to so many people out there, especially at a time like this. And so let me introduce you to some of these really brilliant astrologers who are going to start teaching with Synchronicity University coming up in November, right around the corner. And again, just a few days left to choose your own tuition rate before the rate goes up to its regular price. So we have the beautiful, the amazing, my dear friend, Christopher Renstrom. Now, Christopher Renstrom is brilliant, and he is the author of a #1 new release on Amazon. And this book is called The Cosmic Calendar. Now, this book is wonderful in that it shows you how it is that you can tap into the power of the sun, of the seasons, and so much more to understand yourself and to align with the sky. So he's going to be teaching a class, one of the first classes he's teaching, based on his brand new #1 new release book, The Cosmic Calendar. We also have other big dog, including Frank Clifford. Now, Frank Clifford is the president of the London School of Astrology. He is truly a force in astrology today. And he's going to be teaching a really practical class, a brilliant class that looks at ascendant and midheaven combinations and what that means for you. And so he's actually going to go through the possible 36 combinations that there are. And one by one, he's going to describe what that means for you to have your ascendant in a particular sign and your midheaven in another. And so that combination, well, that together has its own interpretation. And he's going to go through each and every one of those. Now, we have other speakers as well, the future most brightest stars of the sky and of astrology that I'm so happy to celebrate with you. We do have Zamboni Funk. Now, he is going to be teaching a class on Look for the Helpers. And in 2021, we're going to have Jupiter moving back and forth between Aquarius and Pisces. So he's going to be looking at that, what that's going to mean for us to have Jupiter moving back and forth between these two signs, and how it is that we can understand what will be benevolent and good coming up in the year ahead. Now, Helene Cierzo, you have seen her on my channel before. You know that she's such a brilliant astrologer, and she's going to be teaching about family patterns in the astrology chart. And that's something that a lot of students have been asking to learn more about. I know that we learn more about ourselves and about others, especially when it is that we are exploring our family dynamics. And she is going to be exploring that and teaching us that in the astrology chart. And then we have Adama Sisay, who is the wonderful person behind Lilith Astrology, and she's going to be teaching about life purpose. You've seen her on my channel as well. She has such an energy, such a light, so charismatic, so brilliant. I'm so excited to present to you so many brilliant astrologers, and we are going to learn from them and celebrate them together. And to learn from them for as low as $5 a class, that really is an incredibly low price. And if you want to take advantage of that very low rate, you will have to sign up before the week is out, because it's just until, I think, Friday of this week that you'll be able to take advantage of that low rate before we go back to the regular price. So learn more about that at synchronicityuniversity.com, and links are in the description below. I have my own classes coming up with Synchronicity University starting up again in November. We are going to be looking at Lilith Part 2. We have 2 classes on Mercury, and then we have 2 classes on tarot, looking at the minor arcana. This is tarot for astrologers. You can now also buy the tarot classes as a package. So the 2 classes I've already taught on the history, the philosophy, and the major arcana, those you get an immediate download. And then you'll also be put on the list so that you get the live links and the download links for the minor arcana classes as well. And so to sign up for the autumn session of Synchronicity University Part 2, or to sign up in particular for the tarot classes, which have been hugely popular, you can click on the link in the description below at synchronicityuniversity.com. I do have another very special offering on offer now, and only for about another week or so, and that is signed copies of my books. And so any of my books, you can get it not only signed, but also inscribed to whomever it is that you like. And so I am going to be headed back to Mexico in about 2 weeks' time. Before I leave for Mexico, I'm going to ship these books out and make sure that you get them, because I don't really do any shipping from my home in Mexico. I do all shipping from Canada for a variety of reasons. But if it is that you know that you would like a gift for yourself or someone else, perhaps you know somebody who's a friend and fan of my work who would love a signed copy of one of my books or all of my books, well, that is going to be on sale and available only for about another week and a half. And so this would be the time to get the book directly from me so that you get a signed copy. You'll be asked if you want it inscribed to somebody else. If you want me to write something like happy birthday or happy holidays or whatever it is, I can do that as well. And I'll make sure that those books are shipped off to you before it is that I head back to Mexico. So you should get them well in advance of the holidays. And the holidays are right around the corner. We're not even at Halloween yet as I'm recording this. And yet we know that the holidays are right around the corner. So if you would like a signed copy of one of my books or all of my books or 2 or 3 of my books from me, you can check out the link in the description below. And thank you to everybody who has been supporting my books and loving my books. If a signed copy isn't as important to you, or it is that you just like a copy as soon as possible, you can order them wherever books are sold, including on Amazon. And of course, my 4 books are Astrology Realized, The Body and the Cosmos, which I mentioned earlier, Prayers to the Sky, and The Universe is Wise and Loving. Thank you for all the love and support that my books do get from you. I appreciate that so much. And again, for all the things I've talked about, the books from me, the books online, links are in the description below. And finally, if you would like my take on your unique birth chart, check out my partnership with Cosmogram. So what happens is you go on the Cosmogram website, you enter in your birth data, and within hours, you are emailed a PDF copy of my interpretation of your birth chart. So your birth chart is there, and I go through each of the planets section by section, looking at what its sign and its house and its aspects mean for you as part of your unique birth chart. So putting this together was very much a labor of love. There are 780 possible combinations. I wrote them all out. And it is Cosmogram who has the wonderful software where they are able to generate these reports that are going to be unique to you. If you go onto the Cosmogram website, you can also see a sample there, so you know exactly what it is that you're going to get. And once you do get it, I hope that you love and cherish it always. When I got one of these generated reports for myself, I got it as a gift from my Aunt Shireen, and she gave it to me over 25 years ago now. And I still have that report. I have read that report inside and out. It is one of the few things that I've held on to as I've moved through life and moved to places and moved to countries and all of that. That is one of the things that I cherish forever. It really opened up something in my soul for astrology. It increased my depth of understanding personally, but also it sparked something to help me to want to learn more about how astrology works and how these combinations work and how I have all these different parts of me. And so now to be able to facilitate that in someone else, in you, or perhaps somebody that you know, well, it is truly such a blessing. I feel so fortunate to be able to do that. And so yes, you can check out my partnership with Cosmogram and get your own report of my take on your unique birth chart by clicking on the link in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for your love, for your trust, for being here, for staying till the end. I really am so grateful for that as well. But whatever part I am of your unique spiritual journey, for that I am truly grateful. Thank you. And thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.